course, ordering a shutdown, there are agreements. There are, of course, technical issues involved within the agreement, since the pipeline, some of it within South Sudan is owned by the Republic of South Sudan, and the rest is owned by the Sudan. And for any shutdown to be done, there is a time frame which is needed, because if you make an abrupt shutdown, you can cause a back pressure on the oil through the pipelines. The tanks will overflow, and this can lead to environmental damage. Environmental damage, it will not only happen also in South Sudan as well as in Sudan, but the damage can be excessive in the Republic of South Sudan, and it will be difficult to contain even the oil spilling over to the Nile, to the River Nile. So there are serious consequences for an abrupt damage. So there is always a need for adequate consultation so that this process is done in a much more safe way to save the environment and save the infrastructure.
Dr. Benjamin further warned that any attempt to shut down the oil without the involvement of South Sudan can create an environmental disaster of humongous scale. The minister said actors in the sector should be alive to the fact that the oil pipeline crosses the River Nile, which is the lifeline of millions of people, and if the water is polluted, these lives will be shattered. According to the minister, there must be a time frame for the oil shutdown, which must be endorsed by both sides. Reporting for SSTV, I'm Estella Malik Ruben.
Sudanese President Omar al-Bashir has instructed his Minister of Petroleum to shut down South Sudan's oil pipeline through Sudanese territory within 60 days. The threats followed allegations by Khartoum that South Sudan is supporting the insurgencies fighting Bashir government, a claim Juba described as false and baseless. James Arusi has more on the story.
To shut down the country's oil from accessing his pipes. The move, according to Bashir, is a retaliation in protest of allegations that South Sudan is supporting rebels trying to destabilize its grip on power.
These accusations by Sudan are baseless. These accusations of Sudan are reflecting internal Sudanese issues, and these are attempts to accuse other forces and other countries of the internal difficulties and crises. The civil wars inside Sudan is a Sudanese war with two Sudanese parties to the conflict. We call on the government of Sudan to accept the AU-HIP proposal as the basis for that final resolution.
This has not been the first time Bashir is accusing the country of aiding rebels. 2 weeks ago, after his forces repulsed a group of dissidents in Abu Kashola, he warned that he would shut down the oil if Juba fails to cut ties with elements fighting his government.
These are false accusations. We call on the government of Sudan to remain committed and to fully implement the cooperation agreement that has been signed between the two countries. South Sudan position is to develop relations with Sudan, relations of cooperation in all the fields in pursuit of mutual interest of our two people.
And addressing a gathering in Khartoum yesterday, Bashir ordered his oil minister to shut down the flow of South Sudan oil in the next 60 days.
بكره يعوض القرار يشتري شركات البترول أن يقفل الأنبوب بكره يعوض الأمر يشتري شركات البترول أن الأنبوب ده يتقفل لكن بترول يموت بالسودان عشان يشتروا سلاح وذخيرة ويدوها للمرتزقة والخونة والعملاء.
But Juba has continuously rubbished Bashir's claim of aiding the rebels, terming such statements divisionary tactics from real issues.
Petroleum and Mining Minister Stephen Dudau says Khartoum has no right to randomly shut down the oil without informing South Sudan. Dudau said the oil flow is dictated by instruments signed by both countries and spells out what must be done in case one party wants to negate the position. The minister was speaking after returning from Addis Ababa, where he had gone for a meeting with his Sudanese counterpart on oil.
Done in a way that facilities are clean and the flushing is done. The facility, 100% facility, the field facility.
SPLA is accusing Sudan Armed Forces for carrying out an incursion into the country. SPLA says Sudan Armed Forces attacked Quake in Upper Nile State, armed with heavy artillery, and is still occupying the area.
The SPLA spokesperson, Colonel Philip Aguer, says the Sudan Armed Forces attacked Quake area in Upper Nile State, backed by heavy artillery, and the forces are still occupying the area up to now. The army spokesperson termed the attack a violation of a security deal signed by the two nations.
The safe demarcation line or safe demarcation zone that was suggested by the mediators in Addis Ababa, and the SPLA completed the withdrawal from the 10th of March up to the 22nd of March. Now, violation on the other side continues to take place, and the recent violation is yesterday when South forces came to Quake. Quake is in Shulu Kingdom in Upper Nile, and we are going to protest formally to the UNISFA.
Aguer said the army will protest to the United Nations, but warned that it will not allow the troops to advance further south. SSTV News, Rejoice Tio Samson.
The governor of Northern Bargazal State, Paul Malongawan, has instituted changes in his government. The governor has relieved his deputy governor, Madut Dutiel, of his duties and appointed Salva Chol Ayat as the state deputy governor.